Alert! It's a flash sale for 1 week only at Room to Room in 6 p.m. Saturday. Prices slashed store-wide. In-store coupons, BOGO accessories, king for a queen mattress deals, and special financing. These deals will be gone in a flash. Room to Room Tupelo.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Welcome in here to the Room to Room Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Gabe for Mississippi Live Weather at 10, and we are tracking an active next 24 hours. That is large hail possible moving into our Monday afternoon. Kind of our big headline tonight, some large hail Monday. Large hail being 1.5, potentially 2 inches in diameter for those hailstones. We'll get into that in a little bit more and who can see those large hailstones here in just a moment, but I will say models have definitely trended up since our 6 o'clock show. The active pattern does continue beyond that Monday threat, working our way into Wednesday. What to expect with that? We'll have updates coming up at 10 o'clock. And then tracking the latest runs for timing, I think that's what matters most heading into the 10 o'clock hour. Of course, we know that large hail is possible, but in regards to who can see it, that matters, and the time frame of which you can see it also matters heading into the next 24 hours. So the first 11 p.m., 59 degrees, 56 there by 2, but heading out tomorrow morning, we're in the mid 50s. Some areas actually in the low 60s. That's because of that very unstable atmosphere, not allowing us to cool off much heading into those overnight hours. And as we go about the day, you can see by 11 o'clock, those chances do start to climb. And beyond 11 o'clock, that's where we do expect those thunderstorms to start firing up. So like I mentioned, our severe threat confidence levels, level 3 for hail. The other one's level 1. So our main focus tomorrow will be those large hailstones. And I know it says some hail in excess of 1.5 inches. It might be even more than that, and some hail potentially in excess of 2 inches heading into our Monday afternoon because of the very buoyant atmosphere that we are in. You know, there's a lot of ingredients that we look at here behind the scenes, and a lot of ingredients are in place for these storms to really start firing up entering into our Monday afternoon. The Storm Prediction Center has put this level 2 threat out for those Monday storms. This, of course, updated earlier this morning due to that large hail potential. But as we track each individual risk, there is rotation that we're believing is primarily hail, but some of that rotation, if interacting with the ingredients at the right time, could produce a brief tornado. Not going to be long-lived whatsoever, but not saying we're completely ruling that out. It's what we'd call a non-zero threat. And damaging wind also something that we have on the table because these thunderstorms, these individual cells, they do have a maturation, but also a collapsing phase, a dying phase. And as it does that and it collapses on itself, it does produce some strong winds, what we call a microburst potential as we work our way into our Monday afternoon. But this is the main event, the large hail risk for our Monday afternoon. We are expecting large hail down there south of Highway 82, really working our way into the Arkansas area as well. If I expand things out, Arkansas, northeast Louisiana, and then central and north central Mississippi. And our folks at Truefield Roofing, they were active a couple weeks ago, gave away a couple of gift cards. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked at all if we're giving away a couple of gift cards, not a couple, but a gift card heading into Monday because of that large hail. That is, if you have a hailstone 1 inch diameter or greater, they do give a $100 gift card, a partnership that we have here at Mississippi Live Weather. Only thing is you have to submit those pictures to us here at Mississippi Live Weather through the Mississippi Live Weather app. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Mama Justice Doppler radar right now. And as you can see, we're not tracking anything. So the active pattern is not here yet. We're remaining calm. We're remaining dry overnight. And if you didn't get out this afternoon, you definitely missed out. A large part of that rainfall actually stayed east of us into Alabama. Some heavier sections did show up, but heavier being 1/10 of an inch. But nonetheless, we need every amount of rainfall that we could possibly get here in Mississippi and Alabama as those drought conditions continue to worsen. We had a real good benefit this Saturday, and we're hoping that we'll get some additional rainfall this week. Unfortunately, the rainfall just comes at a cost, and it comes with that severe weather potential as well. So we're going to expand things out. And later on in the broadcast, we're actually going to be talking about the upper atmosphere and why that's allowing these storms to take place. A little unique feature that we have going on right now. But this stationary front also acting as a lifting mechanism for folks down there towards the Gulf Coast, hence why they have a few showers. But that's keeping the moisture further south from us as we enter into those late hours. But of course, as we enter Futurecast, that stationary front does what stationary fronts do. They're stationary for a reason. They don't have much movement to them. So we do expect those to be, or that stationary front to be towards the Gulf Coast, not allowing that moisture to lift too far north overnight. So overnight, we're pretty dry, pretty calm. We'll take it, especially after the active Saturday that we just had. Now getting into our Monday morning, and we'll bring it in a little bit closer, you can see that we do have a few showers firing up, and this is going to allow for some light to moderate rainfall, but that's really it for the morning hours. So if you go about your morning commute and you're dealing with a shower, don't be alarmed. These are not the severe storms we're talking about. Where you're actually getting those taking place is out there towards Arkansas. And look at how quickly these fire up. By mid-morning, already getting some of those deeper DBZs. By the time we reach towards noontime, these are already crossing the Mississippi River and getting some heavy amounts to them with that heavier rainfall. But sometimes, and in this case, we believe it's the case, that heavier rainfall is also indicative of some higher storm tops, meaning that these are going to be very mature and potentially producing that large hail, especially as those tops get a little bit higher. I mean, look at those returns. We're talking the deeper reds, almost into the black, showing up by 1 p.m. And this is as those storms are continuing to work their way through North Mississippi. So that's that, what's the word I'm looking for? That strengthening that we had since 6 o'clock. And that's why we need to go more in detail here on that forecast in the Room to Room Weather Center, is because that strengthening could mean some more large hail. And for those that were already going to see hail, some larger hail potentially. And that's what we'll get into here in just a moment. Let's focus on the next 24. Again, those light showers in the morning, not going to be the severe storms we're watching, but by the afternoon, that's where we expect these storms to start firing off and potentially produce that large hail as well. So in the next 60 seconds, we're going over that timing. We're going over those impacts. We're using triple threat because the latest model run has come out. We'll look at where that has the highest threats, and we're also looking at energy. We're looking at that upper atmosphere. So really going in detail on this forecast for Monday and giving a little sneak preview on Wednesday of why that pattern matters as well. So a lot of information, but it does matter, and it is very important heading into this work week. All of that coming up in the next 60 seconds. Clicked off of it. Forgive me for that. All of that coming up in the next 60 seconds.
Look at Wanda, ready to rock her big presentation. But first, lunch. Sweet Pepper's Deli. Delicious, celebratory, but is it quick? The Cobb salad. Tender oven-roasted chicken, topped with cheese. Prepared, plated, and served? In 6 minutes? Is this for real? Well, of course. Well done, Wanda. Sweet Pepper's Deli. Yes, ma'am. Life is sweet.
By the time you see the symptoms of lung cancer, it could be too late. Now there's a new scan that can detect lung cancer early. If you smoked, get scanned.
I'm your retirement fear, but don't be scared. You're still in pre-tirement.
Does that mean I have more time to plan?
Precisely. This is pretirement.org.
This isn't scary. I'm doing it.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
So that severe weather threat continues into our Monday. And I want to go ahead and say a pre-notion here real quick. Let me know any questions you guys have in the comments, because while this is a severe weather risk day, and we've been through a couple of those, there still can be some questions, especially with a hail event. And so that's where I want you to go ahead and put those in the comments, and we can go over that in more detail as we go into the latter part of the broadcast. But I'm going to try and get you guys as much information as possible, so that way you guys are prepared and staying safe into your Monday. So here is that SPC risk area, that level 2 threat encompassing parts of Water Valley, Bruce, Clarksdale, Columbus, and Aliceville. All of that moving south and west into Arkansas and northeast Louisiana, but the rest of us still in that level 1 threat for the potential of large hail there as well. We're just not expecting as many reports up there compared to what they'll get further south and west, and you'll see why here in just a moment. So our True Shield Roofing large hail risk area, again highlighting that same region. That's why the SPC has put that level 2 risk out, is for that hail. But what I want you to pay attention to specifically, and this is something the Storm Prediction Center has started as of, I believe, last week, and this is some of that significant hail risk, those specific hatched areas that highlight portions that could see up to 2 inches, maybe larger than 2 inches. So that's that large damaging hail that we're talking about, not just 1 inch, we're talking even more than that. So this is that larger than 2 inch area, that area highlighted in light blue, and that's encompassing Oxford, Water Valley, Amory, Columbus. Basically, that level 2 risk, that has the potential to see hail larger than 2 inches. And that's why confidence is increasing, especially as these runs come out, to get even larger hail than what the severe thunderstorms require. So going ahead and looking at our triple threat at the top of this block, going ahead and letting you know what to expect. So again, morning time, any storms or any showers that fire up going to be well below those severe limits. But let's go ahead and start with that early afternoon time frame. what you're getting almost immediately is a large amount of hail reports potentially. Again, this is just our triple threat showing those peak threats. And as that moves across the southern part of Arkansas, that's where we'll be getting some of those large hailstones already moving their way across the river into North Mississippi. Okay, let's bring it back into North Mississippi and go into our afternoon time frame. Now, I know everyone is looking at this and saying, oh my word, that's a rotation streak, that's a helicity streak, and that means tornadoes. Not exactly in this setup. While a brief spin up is not impossible with these cells, I really expect a large part of these rotating cells to be hail. And those larger streaks, those brighter streaks, are actually indicative of some larger hail. And here, as we move into that next little bit, you can see some of those stones already popping up. And whenever you get those deeper purples, and especially this one down here towards Louisville, that's what I'm watching for, the potential for 2+ inches. So that's what we're looking at. This is the change that's happened since 6 o'clock, is these brighter returns and these larger returns have moved south into the Highway 82 area and south of there as we move into our Monday afternoon and even into the late afternoon as well. So if we look at each of these reports, of course, that streak does stand out. And again, it's not impossible to get a tornado out of this. It's not our main threat. It's not the threat that we're primarily watching for, but it is not impossible. But we do expect large hail to come out of this. Again, whenever you talk about that rotation, those updrafts are also required to produce hailstones. So you'll see some of these helicity streaks whenever we're talking about hail or tornado, but deciphering between the two matters about some of the upper level atmosphere, and that's what we were looking at behind the scenes. And that's why looking at this, of course it stands out, but looking at this, it stands out to me primarily for that large hail as we get into our Monday evening. So getting into those overnight hours and into our Tuesday, not expecting much more out of this. So any storms that develop on the backside of this should remain well below severe limits, but nonetheless, that's what we're dealing with getting into our Monday. And of course, keeping eyes on that as we get further into our Monday afternoon. So day planner tonight stays calm, stays mostly dry, but there's those showers already starting to move in early hours of our Monday, and then we'll build as we go about that Monday time frame. So getting a look at Futurecast, again, highlighting those dry conditions, not really tracking much. And so I think that we're going to stay pretty calm overnight. Honestly, a night that we deserve, especially for how active Saturday was and how active Monday will be, and then how active Wednesday will be. So it's going to be kind of a, you get a severe weather day, you get a good day. Severe weather day, good day. Severe weather day, just back and forth. So fortunately, there are some good days sprinkled in there, and I think that Sunday was exactly that. But now we're getting more into that Monday timeframe, so we need to get back into that ready mode. So low temperatures Monday, this is what starts the day, and this already tells us that there's some instability in this atmosphere. 52 degrees in Tupelo. Let's go south and west where those storms are already starting to fire up early hours of our Monday. We're 60 degrees. So that unstable air is already allowing for some of that storm formation or shower formation. So that's just going to build because that instability isn't really going anywhere until that main batch moves through by the afternoon. So again, I don't know if school's in session. So I apologize for this, but it goes ahead and lets you know at pickup around 7 or 8 o'clock, 53 degrees, and drop off around 3 p.m., 77 degrees. But there's those rain chances, again, increasing by the afternoon. So make sure to have those ways of staying dry if you do have school tomorrow, but if you do have afternoon plans as well. And if you have afternoon plans, I would find a place that has a carport or a car garage at that point, because I would not want to be stuck out in this and my vehicle out in this either. So what we're looking at now, this is Futurecast, our latest HRRR edition, but we're also looking at CAPE, our level of instability. And you're going to see how this basically climbs as we move through our Monday. So there's a look at that limited instability, 7 a.m. on our Monday morning. But look out west, and this is why those storms are starting to fire up a bit more. There's more energy concentrated southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana. These storms will start firing up in that atmosphere, but watch what happens as the day goes on. Daytime heating behind these showers will start to pick up, and that's going to destabilize the atmosphere, allowing for these brighter returns. I mean, look at the legend at the top of the screen. We're starting to move more into the yellows, which shows that there's an enhanced area of unstable air. And so all these storms that are already starting to fire up in Arkansas will build further into North Mississippi in this destabilized environment, allowing for some of those large hailstones or those increased storm tops that could produce large hailstones build into the area. So there's by noon, moving across the Mississippi River, gradually working its way into Grenada, Oxford, Holly Springs, even closer towards Chula by the early afternoon hours. So let's go ahead and bring it back in here to North Mississippi, and we're going to talk individual cells. So this line, you basically have two segmented areas that we're watching for. This one up there towards Sardis and Olive Branch, almost breaking off from this batch down south. So we're watching these two different areas with those deeper DBZs potentially producing some of those larger hailstones. All right, by 2 o'clock, still seeing that build further into North Mississippi, but look at the darker returns. And again, we're going to use our legend up here. Those reds and blacks are on the higher end of our legend. Actually, the black's on the highest part of our legend. And we're getting quite a bit of that. You look at this individual cell north of Belzona, that one around Greenwood, another one Winona, another one up here towards New Albany. Those gradually building and moving through the rest of the area. So still getting that up there towards Florence, Alabama. I don't think it's impossible that we get some large hail reports there in the marginal risk. But down where it's the slight risk, down where it's that enhanced area where we could see hailstones in excess of 2 inches, that's where we're watching for. And so pay attention to this cell, and I will bring it back on the wide shot here in just a moment, but watch how this moves on through. As we get closer to Louisville, look at the returns on that. That is a very dark DBZ, meaning that that's a heavy storm. And that heavy storm usually means that we have increased storm tops, and increased storm tops mean stronger updrafts, and those stronger updrafts could also be producing that large hail. And so that's where I'm watching for. If these cells continue to develop, and this has been a pretty consistent trend on some of our short-range models, that means that we're going to be getting some large hail, and that's where we could get those 2+ inch stones. And again, as that moves closer to DeKalb and Sugarlock, that's where we're also watching for some of those larger hailstones as well. Now this continues to move its way into Birmingham and Huntsville, so down south is what we're watching for by the time we get towards late afternoon for some of those larger storms, but that even begins to move closer to Utah, Alabama, and Greensboro. Anything that develops on the back end of this should remain sub-severe, but it's not impossible that we get some small hailstones out of this, working our way into 6, 7, and 8 o'clock on our Monday, because there is still a decent bit of unstable air. So as we get further into our futurecast Monday night, we are remaining on the stormy side for some areas, but still a lot of this remaining below severe limits, and we will continue to see that kind of work its way out during those overnight hours, and by Tuesday morning, should be waking up to much better conditions. Again, look, I mean, there's the coverage already dwindling, and we expect that to continue to dwindle by our Tuesday morning commute. Whether it's school, again, I'm going to talk to my wife about this to see who's in session, but it could also just mean some morning plans. Not impossible to have a few showers, but we do expect that to begin to dissipate. We're 63 degrees, low temperatures Tuesday because there is still that moisture in the air. 63 Eupora, Starkville, and Columbus. We're 66 degrees. Belzona, Greenwood, Cleveland. Our normal is 42 degrees. Wouldn't be shocked at all if we actually got close to a record high low temperature. Remember that weird saying that we say? I wouldn't be shocked at all if we're reaching that Tuesday morning because of how warm we're starting the day. But that basically allows for that unstabilized air, that destabilized air to linger in our forecast as well. Not exactly for our Tuesday. There's not a lifting mechanism that's going to allow these showers to fire off into storms and no severe weather to take place. So that's why Tuesday is pretty calm and honestly pretty dry. A large part of that starting to move out. But I'm going to expand things out, and you're going to get a visual on our next system. And it's going to be this system as it continues to work south and east there from Missouri to Kansas, all the way towards Oklahoma City. And again, that will work its way closer into the North Mississippi area by the time we get towards our Wednesday. So anything that's happening Tuesday night should remain below severe limits, but there's your stronger storm starting to fire off Oklahoma City, Dallas, Lubbock, and that's why we do expect some of those stronger storms to be out there Tuesday, but then in our area by Wednesday. We're 83 degrees, Houston, Bruce, and Eupora. A drier day and allowing for some of that sunshine to peek through means that we are going to warm things up a little bit more. So our record actually could be broken. It was set in 1974, and now 52 years later, we're talking about a potential new record showing that this warm environment is definitely going to dominate our forecast. Going back over those severe weather confidence levels. Hail. Hail is the main word you need to know getting into your Monday. I know I basically information dumped all over your minds on a Sunday night, and it's a lot to take in. I get it. But heading into our Monday, I want you guys to be prepared, and I want you guys to understand that large hail is not only possible, but it's growing in confidence getting further into that forecast. So make sure to move those cars underneath some covers, and don't leave anything outside that you don't want a large hailstone to fall into. Don't leave yourself outside either. So that's why you need to download the app to stay up to date. But we are talking about 1 to 2 inch hailstones, potentially some even larger than that. And while it is a non-zero tornado threat, doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means it's not usually expected with this system. But again, a brief one could definitely occur, but we're not really expecting that, especially not on the same confidence level as those hailstones. And a few strong gusts with some of these collapsing storms, not going to be impossible to see some of those downdrafts be a little bit on the stronger side, and that could be damaging in and of itself. So we are watching for that, and don't be surprised, heavy rainfall also possible, but we do expect that flash flooding to remain very minimal. But what I want to show you real quick, and I hope it doesn't go all the way through. Okay, perfect, it doesn't. We are going to, okay, Gage, I know it's spring break. Is it spring break for everybody? Please let me know. Because literally my wife is a teacher, so I should know this, but nonetheless, I'm still here at Sunday night asking that question during spring break. Okay, so what we're watching right here, this is the jet stream, and this is what's happening aloft. And this is why, if you see the stationary front, you're a little bit confused of why are strong storms happening here in North Mississippi. Well, what we have is basically this shortwave that develops. You see that little dip that happens? That almost acts as a trough, even though it's a very slight dip. And that's going to be the lifting mechanism that our atmosphere needs to allow these storms to start to fire off. Again, you see that dip. I mean, it's still closer to Jonesboro by 6 p.m. That's going to allow these storms to continue to circulate. That's why we see those rain chances lingering into our Monday night. Despite it not being severe, it's still there. And that does start to move out there towards the east, towards the Atlantic coast, and that's carrying those initial rain chances off. But let me expand things out. Okay, Gage. Okay, it's not spring break in Alabama. That is good information to know. Thank you so much. And Gage letting me know it is spring break for everybody here. So, okay, well, sweet. I guess we're talking to the school forecast is just for Alabama schools. I'm sorry, Alabama. I guess yours might be next week. As we look into Tuesday, this is where our next system comes into play because, again, we're pretty calm on our Tuesday here in North Mississippi, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. So right out there towards the west, we are getting this cutoff low that develops. This is apart from the polar jet stream, but that will begin to work its way towards the east. And the cutoff low has a mind of its own sometimes, and it wants to move in when it wants to move in. So it's tough to get an exact time frame, even 4 days out, but we do expect it to move in on our Wednesday and produce potentially some strong storms. But why there's still some questions and why that matters to our forecast is because that's going to be the difference if there's strong storms, if there's severe storms, or if it's just a soggy night. Right now, our timing, and if we zoom it in here real quick, this is our long-range model. We can see that storms are starting to fire off there towards Arkansas on Wednesday morning. As we work our way into our Wednesday afternoon, that's where it does have some of those storms beginning to move into the North Mississippi area. But I know there's this front. Don't pay attention to that front. It's going to be this low pressure center that's kind of wrapping up that moisture and bringing up that unstable air for this warm front, for the cold front, and that's going to be your lifting mechanisms in this setup. So as we make our way into our Wednesday night, still a large part of those showers and storms out there towards Arkansas and Louisiana. Then we begin to move it into North Mississippi, but you saw the time frame of which it moved in. And unfortunately, I don't know if it stops. Okay, it stops. You know what? Manually do it. If you don't want technology to do it, just do it yourself. All right, so we're getting our way into our Wednesday night. This is where, and again, I don't want you to take this as scripture, but it is what we're seeing right now. And so if trends hold this way, then this is going to limit our severe weather potential. But those overnight hours, while storms are still expected and possible, not having the heating of the day will also be a limiting factor. So honestly, I'm hopeful that timing remains in play because let's drag it out all the way to our Thursday morning commute. Yeah, by then we're talking about it moving more into Alabama and then becoming their threat. So here in North Mississippi, fingers crossed. I do hope it remains that Wednesday evening time frame, Wednesday night time frame into our Thursday morning. But nonetheless, those chances are there, and that cutoff low could very well speed up or slow down, and that would, of course, make for a interesting setup moving into our midweek time frame. But what we do know and what we have seen consistencies in is our Monday forecast with those large hailstones. So again, don't move on from that just yet. Do make sure to make note of that in your afternoon plans to not be out in it and let these storms pass over, and hopefully you have everything put away to where it doesn't get damaged if large hail does happen. And one thing with Mississippi Live Weather is we are our own 24-hour channel. So if we need to cut in, you saw it Saturday, I think Caleb and Matt were live for 6 to 8 hours, something like that straight. So props to them. They did a phenomenal job keeping everybody safe, kept my family safe. And we expect to do the exact same thing tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Matt Loblot and I, our meteorologist Maggie McCauley, we will have all hands on deck once again. So that's why you trust us, that we promise to give you accurate information, and I promise to not hype things up. I'm going to be as realistic as possible, and that goes for everyone on the team. And the realistic possibility is that large hail is definitely possible for our Monday afternoon. Okay, before we move on into the end of the broadcast. Okay, it's not spring break in Alabama. Oh wait, no, sorry. It's 10 o'clock. It's Sunday, everybody. I was filling in for Caleb, so technically I still should be off today, but no, it's all good. Before we keep things moving, I do want to give a shout out. I do want to end this with some good news because we did have a lot of good news happen this weekend here in North Mississippi, and that is our representatives from the state championships down there in Jackson. We have a few videos highlighting their celebrations down there, so let's go ahead and give that a watch and hear that celebration happen live as our teams won the basketball championships.
And for the first time since 2018, Starkville High School is your 7A state champions in girls basketball.
See the excitement, everybody pointing to their ring finger.
And here's the moment. Boom. Trip to the ship, and now they're state champs. That's a nice placement.
Yeah, it is. Now he gets one.
The Lady Yellow Jackets are the state champs. Big thanks to Kayla Mangrum for braving the crowded player group to hand off the trophy. And tipped. Another three returns up and short. And Starkville High School knocks off the defending state champs in Germantown. 40-36. They are your 7A state champs. State championship number 6, the first since 2020, and the Yellow Jackets buzzing with another time. My screen just freaked out on me. On audio, we've got Corey and Mike. Camera operators, we've got Joshua and Josh, Johnny and Newman. And also, there it goes up in the air once again. The Starkville Yellow Jackets are your 7A boys state champions once again. First time since 2020. That sixth one feels as good.
For new site, but today belongs to the Urchins. They have their title.
Give us a little urchin pile out there.
Your 2A girls basketball champions, and you said it, partner.
Smile.
Oh, that is Lily Kate. Lily Kate was in tears. She's in happy tears now. She was almost inconsolable. Can you not when you see that?
Well, and Lily Kate's going to have a chance to lead her team back here next year, perhaps, as she will be a senior, as they slap their name on the final slot of the bracket.
Partner, it never gets old. It never gets old seeing that moment. For whatever reason, this group has taken us on an emotional journey with them this morning. 57-38, East Union gets their first ever state championship.
That'll end it. Belmont shot doesn't count. And your final score is Boonville 54, Belmont 31, as the Lady Blue Devils are able to do something that's done not a lot. They go back-to-back and win four of the last five state championships.
Man, to have the target on your back all year and to know that, like, if you don't make it to this moment, what we're seeing, man, back-to-back, super impressive.
And we promise, Coach Johnson, he is excited and he is happy, even though he's still stoic. Gold ball coming up.
Cream of the crop in 3A basketball.
There's that banner. The schedule to celebrate, too, because they know that Boonville's collecting some more hardware for that trophy case. Your 3A girls state champions are the Boonville Lady Blue Devils. Championship number 6. Back-to-back, 4 out of the last 5.
38, 4 seconds left. Now 3 seconds left, and it is over. It is over. Columbus champions.
Wow.
A couple of fans wanting to run on the floor, having to be restrained. They're so excited. Columbus state champions. And what a remarkable season to end it on a 23-game winning streak.
Wow. Just
8 years since the last time they won one. They seem like they're always in the mix.
That's right.
But they get it done here tonight. It's a wild scene here inside the big house. Columbus over Holmes County Central, 52. This. Was it kind of an out-of-body experience? Could you even process it in the moment, really? Did you have to go back and watch it somewhat?
Yeah, no, I really couldn't.
And there it is, your MHSA 5A boys basketball state champions in the finale of a great week here in 2026.
And what a week it was. What a weekend it was. It was a phenomenal end to exciting playoff action, and shout out to all of our North Mississippi teams. I believe off the top of my head, we had 8 champions out of 14 represented here in the North Mississippi area. So big shout out to everybody. Honestly, we might have had more. We might have had 9 now that I'm thinking about it. Insane to think about. So North Mississippi well represented, and congratulations to all of our teams. Even if you didn't win, congratulations on a great season, and can't wait to see next year and get back to our Game of the Week. But speaking of Game of the Week, we do have Game of the Week action that is going to be happening this week because everything should be better by Friday. That is, of course, live on our Chief Meteorologist Matt Laupon's page heading into our Monday, so make sure to make those nominations. Excited to get out there for our Game of the Week and see where we head to next. Which diamond we head to next, I should say. But nonetheless, I'm going to wrap it up this evening by talking about our severe weather threats. Again, hail is the word of our Monday as we're dealing with potentially large hail, 1 to 2 inches in size, in some cases maybe even larger than that. But we are going to see strong storms heading into our Monday afternoon. So make sure to keep it with Mississippi Live Weather for the very latest. We talk about those layers of protection, and that layer of protection with the Mississippi Live Weather app does wonders. So make sure to download that today. And if not, if you already have it, make sure to screenshot it and send it to a friend and let them know about the Mississippi Live Weather app, because if they're in the Magnolia State, they need our app to stay safe, and that's what we expect to do, and that's always our goal going into these events. So make sure to download that, and a big thank you to everyone for going ahead and downloading that app, just supporting us here on the channel, and I promise we will not let you down. We will keep you guys safe heading into any severe weather event. Our next broadcast is going to be happening at 6:30, 7, and 7:30 with our meteorologist Maggie McCauley. She will have some interesting information. As those latest runs come out, she'll have what you need to know getting into those afternoon plans and where we expect those storms to start firing up. But at 5, 6, and 10, now that's our live show schedule here at Mississippi Live Weather. But I do expect Chief Meteorologist Matt Laupon and I to be live sooner than that, walking through these storms and telling you where to expect them, what to expect, and where that large hail is setting up. All of that coming up on your Monday. So make sure to keep it live here in the Room to Room Weather Center for the very latest. Okay, I'm going to bring it back in real quick. So Corinth Warrior Band, they're band people, so I gotta give them a special notion here. So they're letting me know they're on spring break this week and next week, taking the high school band to Universal Studios in Florida this week. That is so much fun, so jealous, and we'll be waiting for our invite there at the door, guys. No, I'm just kidding. But they're leaving tomorrow about 6 p.m. So travel look like for tomorrow evening and night into Tuesday morning. So what you'll be dealing with then is strong storms will kind of clear out. Let's go ahead and look at the latest time frame one more time. And I think that's a good wrap up for everybody as we get into those Monday plans. And I'm going to go ahead and manually do this to kind of walk through this. And it will have instability on there as well, but we're going to go ahead and have that highlighted to let you guys know, again, that this is an unstable atmosphere. So as we get into those afternoon hours, you can kind of see at 12, 1, 2 o'clock, these storms will start to move through. And we're talking about Corinth up there at the Tennessee state line. So by 3, 4, and 5 o'clock, we do expect these storms to begin to move on into Alabama. So I would say by 4 o'clock, if this holds true, and we'll see trends in the morning, so I'd recommend you guys tuning in, everyone in the Corinth Warrior Band. That's where we'd expect this trend to hold. And then, of course, you're looking at a decent commute. All these storms should be cleared out by the time you reach down there towards the Golden Triangle. And then you should be sitting in better shape. But that doesn't mean rain showers aren't impossible. That doesn't mean that thunderstorms aren't impossible. And yeah, some of them could have some heft to them. So make sure to prepare accordingly. But you're probably going to have to crank the windshield wipers a couple of times on your way down south. So just drive with caution, but wait till the severe weather does pass. And then I believe that's Keontae asking about rotation. Rotation with a system like this, it's got to be interpreted in different ways. So while it can mean a brief tornado, it does, but it also is indicative of some of those updrafts needed for strong storms. And whenever we have rotating storms, that does mean that updrafts are present. And so that's what we're primarily looking at it for, is some of those updrafts potentially producing some of those large hailstones. And that's those large hailstones that the Storm Prediction Center has been talking about, Caleb was talking about yesterday, and Chief Meteorologist Matt Loppin and I have been talking about so far. And so that's what we're expecting heading into tomorrow, is that any of those helicity tracks, any of those rotation tracks, that basically would highlight some of those areas where large hail potential is. So that's what I'm expecting with some of those rotation tracks. So good question there. But me saying that doesn't mean tornadoes are impossible. We could see a brief one. But I do expect that it is primarily going to be hail, if not all of it hail. So that's the hope. Or not, it's not the hope, but we definitely don't want tornadoes. So I guess between the two. But nonetheless, prepare, stay safe, have that Mississippi Live weather app, and we'll be all good to go. Marcellus is letting everyone know. See you tomorrow morning at 6:37 and 7:30 with meteorologist Maggie McCauley. I agree. We will be tuned in over at the Manor household as well to know what to expect with those latest runs. And of course, we'll be back in the afternoon, maybe even late morning, telling you what to expect as these storms roll in. So stay safe. Keep it here for the very latest. I promise we'll keep you guys safe.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious when he began to discover weather. Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.